for like 159 to 162. So not super high, but better than where I started at 150. So I was feeling pretty good. But then, come test day, I just kind of tanked, which happens, I guess. But I ended up with a 151. So my previous score was a 150, and then I got a 151. So more or less ended up at the same place. Figured I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring and just still apply to schools and kind of hope for the best. Been waitlisted at a few places, rejected at a few places. And this is also my second go around at applying. I had originally applied for fall 2020. That didn't work out. And so I'm kind of doing at it again. And now I'm kind of just not 100% sure what to do next. It's still like early on in the cycle, I feel, but I'm just not sure if studying for the test again for the sake of a wait list, if that would help me out, or I'm kind of, I guess, leading between two places. I don't think I'll be ready for April yet, because obviously I haven't like even looked at the test since November. And the other option is, I guess, I don't know, taking it in June or even September. At that point, I wouldn't be working anymore, so I'd have more time to dedicate to it. So sorry, a bit of a ramble, but I guess I was wondering, I know every situation is different, but in your experience with people who have been previously waitlisted, like what is something that you see as beneficial? Do you think it's worth it? Or any suggestions that you have would be super awesome.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you certainly can benefit a lot in terms of getting off a wait list by getting a significantly higher score. In some cases, even just a few points can make a big difference. But since you haven't seen that score increase yet, I have no doubt there's a lot of potential for you to unlock by giving it some more time and going for that retake, especially since there was that test day drop before. So you could take it in April and aim to get off the wait list in the short term. You could also take it in June and aim to get off the wait list in the short term, or you can retake and then take that improved score and apply at the beginning of the next cycle to potentially benefit more from being early rather than more towards the tail end.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I've kind of been going between both ideas just because I feel like April could be a thing, but just because I feel like it's been a little bit since I've like worked that LSAT muscle in my head. I just was trying to figure out how that would go. I've taken it 3 times, so I think I only have 2 more times to take it also. So I guess I'm trying to figure out like which would be best. Part of me was also leaning I could take it in June, and there is something about, as much as I would hate doing the process again, something about doing it at the very beginning of next cycle. This year I applied in December, which I guess like midway through. I guess want to make sure that I don't have that like test day anxiety that I previously had, because I know that's like, I felt good about the material, and I know that's something that kind of just affected me and ended up like resulting in like a test score drop the day of and stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely something I would look at, and that could take a little bit longer to figure out. So if you've got, on the one hand, dusting off your books and mentally dusting off from the LSAT, getting back into it, that, as you said, that could take more than the less than 2 months remaining till April. I would say probably going for June is better. And then also, I mean, I would ask you, what else do you have going on in your schedule between now and April, or between now and June?
Right. Yeah. So I'm still working. I'm still working at the same place I've been working since fall. But I've been here for quite a while, so I'm likely going to quit at the end of June. I've been working from home, so I do have that flexibility. But yeah, my plan is to quit my job at the end of June. So I'd pretty much, in anticipation of hopefully starting school in the fall. But if that's not the case, I would still pretty much quit either way at the end of June and have the summer to study.
Understood. And how busy is your job?
I guess in a way average. I work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but I guess I'm fortunate in the sense that it is pretty busy, but I do have like chunks of hours during the day where I can study. And that's kind of what I was doing last time, studying like an hour or so during the workday, and then adding on another 2 hours during like the end of the workday and stuff.
So you've got some time.
Yeah.
Carved out in your schedule. Your job doesn't sound too demanding or taxing to me. So I'd say June or July could be reasonable targets to aim to take the test by then. And then you could submit those scores to schools and see what happens. And then if you don't get off the wait list, and by the way, wait list changes can happen as late as August. They can happen right towards the very, very beginning of the semester. And so you could be waiting for a while, but you get that call, you might be ready to go. And so that could be awesome. On the other hand, alternatively, you could then take that same score and apply at the beginning of next cycle, in which case you'd be waiting a year, but you get to a better school or get more scholarship money, of course, could be worth it in the long term. I also want to circle back to the test anxiety element of things as well, because that is something that you want to work on and you want to resolve. So I'm curious to know what things you've tried out and what things you might not have yet explored.
Yeah, so I guess what I've been doing to try to prepare for the test, like the few weeks leading up to it, I tried doing some meditation. I didn't stick with it 100%, but I at least a little bit, like in the mornings before the exams, or just trying to put myself into a better frame of thought. Um, Especially because like it was a second go around, there was like that, I guess, added level of like maybe just pressure on myself, or just like trying to make sure that it worked out this year. Um, and then before the test, I would like before each practice test, I would try to treat it as game day, like no distractions, try to like simulate as like the testing environment as much as possible, even though I'm home. Watch motivational videos, a lot of Kobe Bryant videos of like him and his like style of practice and stuff like that. So I just kind of try to pump myself up before each test. And I felt like that was working pretty well. Um, I only got a 162 once, so I knew that like that wasn't like necessarily guaranteed to happen, but I was like, okay, that's at least I've reached that at one point. Yeah, so kind of just watching a lot of motivational videos to try and get myself into the right mindset. And then come test day, I felt good in the beginning, and then a game just tripped me up, and then that energy kind of just carried me on to the rest, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. So let's dig in there a little bit. So when that game tripped you up, what exactly was going on? What about the game didn't you like?
I can't even remember what kind of game it was exactly, but I've seen and practiced games like it. And so, and I've improved on games a lot. So I've seen a game like it. And then when I saw it in front of me, I was like, oh, okay, I've seen this before. And then just blanked and then got caught up in, wait, I know how to do this. Why can't I remember how to do this? Practice, 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 lose time, lose minutes, move on to the next game is kind of is what ended up happening.
Understood. So that blanking out, I think, is that key moment. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is there any kind of step-by-step process you have for approaching games?
Um, it's been honestly, it's been a little bit while now, so I feel like I can't remember everything that I used to do. Um, Games used to be my hardest section, and then it ended up being one of the best. I feel like it was like games, reading comp, and then reasoning. When I look at the game, I try to go. Originally, I only did 3 games, and then I made my way to completing all 4. I tried to do what I felt was the easiest for myself, and usually left the last one to the last part of that 35-minute section. Um, I really just tried to practice as much as possible games that I've seen come up a lot, and that was kind of my strategy, and it was working pretty well.
It's a good way to go. I mean, familiarity is
Yeah,
important. I'm glad that you had done a lot of games like that before. Unfortunately, something didn't translate to the test day experience itself, and the blanking out is definitely a common symptom associated with anxiety. It's natural that that can happen. So I'm wondering, can we take your experience during your studying and ensure that it translates on test day, regardless of the stress or adrenaline associated?
yeah, no, that would if I do end up taking it again, that's definitely something that I want to make sure happens. Um, is there anything, again, I know everyone is different, everyone has a different testing situation, but I'm wondering if, I know you talked about this in the beginning of the course as well, and emphasized like test anxiety and how it does happen to a lot of people. I know you had I think you had like a yoga instructor come at one point,
Yeah.
which was really good. Is there anything that you recommend to students like me who have been in my position to kind of calm down that test anxiety, and just like you said, to make sure that uh tests or studying strategies transfer over to game day?
Yeah, of course. I have plenty of things that I can say and will say again, inevitably at some point, I'm sure. But given that we have a one-on-one conversation right now, I'd love to dig specifically into what would be personal to you for your situation. What's coming up for me is this idea of a step-by-step approach.
Okay.
I can give you all the rationalizations in the world about how this one test is not the only test and it won't make or break you. You've taken it 3 times, but you still have 2 more you can take before you hit those retake limits. All of that's true, but you've probably heard me say it before. You know it to some extent. I'm wondering about, can we create some kind of step-by-step process for you where even when you get stressed on test day and you might blank out, you can have that moment to pause, get a mental reset, and then follow these exact steps and pull yourself out of the fight or flight. These exact steps, so that you can say, okay, well, I'm first going to look at the initial paragraph, then the rules, then make a diagram, then make inferences, something like that. That's just one vague idea I have about this, but I would want to help you lay out something specifically for those moments if they can happen. And I also want to think about logical reasoning. Does this ever happen on logical reasoning? Could it happen? If not, why not? Reading comprehension, same deal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And based off what you're saying, I feel like it would, like you said, kind of pull me from that moment of like shakiness. But yeah, no, I think, again, I'm still not 100% sure when I would take it again, but I feel like a step-by-step process, like you said, it's something to ground you back, and so like make sure that I would go about it like the way that I've been practicing.
Yeah, because I know you have the aptitude, Michelle. I know that you have the aptitude. The question is making sure that it translates. Right. And people with high aptitude, they often go based off of experience and intuition, which is fantastic, and that works the majority of the time. But there are some cases where it may not work, either because you encounter something incredibly difficult, which can happen on the LSAT naturally, or it might just seem difficult because the stress level can ratchet everything up one difficulty level. So something that was maybe a level 3 difficulty for you in the comfort of knowing it's not the real thing can seem like a level 4 difficulty because you know it's the real thing. After the fact, if you could look at it later, you would see, oh, it wasn't really any harder, but it seemed harder because the adrenaline pumped you up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's with the one game I'm thinking of specifically, that's pretty much exactly what happened. I took it and was like, oh, damn, like I can't remember how to do that one, but I'll come back to it later. Took a couple days away from the test, and then afterwards looked through a question that I remember being somewhat familiar, and was like, it wasn't that hard because I knew how to do it, and I just got psyched myself out.
Yeah, so there we go. So that's it. That's the action step I would take. If you decide to retake, what we can do together is create some kind of step-by-step process for you that applies. We're talking about games specifically, but we can also look to see whether that might be useful for logical reasoning or reading comprehension instead. And you may not use the step-by-step process following a list for the majority of questions that you do. The experience and intuition can carry you for a lot of them. But in those key moments, I'd want you to mentally pull out that list and apply it.
Yeah, that actually would be amazing. And I'll definitely keep you posted, like hopefully soon, on what I decide of when would be the next best time for me to take it. I feel like since I emailed you, gave it a few days thought, and I don't know if April would be it, but most like a little later. But I will definitely keep you posted, because if we could do that together and just create a step-by-step plan, that would be super amazing and super helpful. One kind of logistical question. I know LSAC hasn't posted the dates past April, I don't think. Right. In your experience, guess based off like how the past couple of years have looked like, do you think it'll be like I know I forget what it was last year, like June, July, September, maybe for the upcoming dates? Do you think it'll be something similar this year?
Yeah, roughly similar. So my guess would be we're going to see early June.
Okay.
Then mid to late July.
Okay.
And then either late August or early September.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I was just trying to guesstimate like in my head what that would look like. I was trying to search everywhere for a future date and then realized that LSAC
doesn't exist. But that's my rough approximation just based on like last year, for example.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. I feel a lot better in just deciding what the next step could be, and talking about it with someone with so much experience of like what students like me could do in the future. So I really appreciate it.
No, of course. Glad to help. It was great to catch up with you. Keep in touch and let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, I definitely will.
All right. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
All right. You too. Bye, Steve.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.